Alright guys, so this is just another little story time video. I'm actually doing this video a little bit later. It's about 7 o'clock right now. Should be able to get this up tonight. And this is the story. There's going to be a few different stories about some of my former teachers. Now, I never went to college, so I don't have any crazy professor stories or anything like that. But I do have a few ridiculous ones. The first one being in my high school years and the heart of the whole Donald Trump feminist mania thing, just craziness. I had this crazy feminist teacher. And you guys, let's go back to 2016. I had this teacher during the worst time. I believe, just starting my junior year. Yeah, that's what it would have been. So, Trump versus Hillary. Everyone thinks that Hillary's going to win. Following that election, as a 16-year-old was just funny in and of itself. Because honestly, I was rooting for Trump. It was pretty funny to me. And the fact that he actually won was hilarious. But we had this teacher, and there were really two different moments. That was just this crazy feminist. Now, going back to 2016, being a feminist and the whole, women's rights, that was the number one thing. That's kind of what like wokeness is today. Like there really wasn't the term woke back in 2016. It was just being a feminist. It was, they released the Access Hollywood Trump leak thing, whatever, where he was like, grab him by the pussy. All of that was happening. Well, Trump ends up winning. And it wasn't just the fact that Trump won that triggered her. I do remember this lady. She was very disappointed the next day, but there was nothing really crazy. She was still professional, whatever, but I remember that year. I don't know if it happened before the winter break or after it. I'm not exactly sure on the timeline. So we were just all going about our day normally. It was about 5 minutes into her class. Again, she's like, I think it's just called English in high school, like English 11 probably, whatever. And I don't know what happened, but we had this big boy dude who you can kind of, picture like a hockey or like a baseball catcher or like a hockey goalie. He was a bigger boy, but you could tell he was athletic, right? He was chunky, but he had some athleticism to him. He had some girth to him. He liked to mix it up. He liked to throw his flubber around a little bit. That's the kind of guy you got to visualize here. He started getting into a debate with the teacher, with this lady, and you want to talk about, this is when the word triggered was created. This lady, it was about, I don't even remember what it was about, but it was definitely, the gist of it was about feminism, and he was obviously a conservative, she was liberal, and I shit you not, oh my God, the only thing that stopped this raging debate for 30 minutes where every other student outside of this one kid who was debating her was just sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? The only thing that stopped the debate was the bell. And I remember it just being so awkward as this debate was going on. And like, I think someone was trying to record it. And let me just tell you guys, if somebody actually recorded this and put it up on YouTube in 2016, this is a guarantee 5 million views. Like this is the type of stuff that is just like, oh my God, it's just crazy. You would never believe it. It's a student debating a teacher for 35 minutes about feminism. And it's like, they're angry. Like it's not, there's no joke. It's no haha. They are hardcore debating. And we're all sitting there. It's almost like, is it a joke? Like, is this real? Are we going to move on with the lesson at some point? And I remember that was the only class. Originally, back in like 7th or 8th grade, I had a really good friend group, but I lost it all. I talked about that in another video just because I was antisocial, but I still had one really good friend, and this is just based on my luck, but I had one class with him throughout all of high school, one single class, and it was that class, and that was just a crazy moment. I remember there was also another moment. I was in that class with my friend, and we had a substitute teacher, and he came in just soaking wet. And we kept joking that he must have taken a shower in the urinal or something, because this substitute teacher had this long hair and he just came in, his hair was soaking wet, like he had just showered in the urinal or like the public bathroom at our school. It was so strange. But yeah, that's just probably one of the crazier moments for me. A literal debate breaks out. Oh, and then there was another thing with her. So that year in 2016, after Trump won, I believe it was the January, so it actually would have been January of 2017, about a month and a half after Trump wins, she goes to the frickin' Women's March. And this was like, I mean, the heart of the whole Me Too movement, again, the whole Trump thing. Now I feel like it's kind of died down. but this was like when it was raging. And she gets back to school. Obviously, we all knew she went to the Women's March. She was absent for like 2 days. And then some kid asks her if she went to the Women's March, and she got so pissed off. She was very agitated. She's like, no, just do your work. Just do your work. She did not want to say that she went to that Women's March. But that's just another little fun story. This is another story I wanted to tell. We had a teacher. This was probably like 5th or 6th grade. Well, this was our music teacher. And our original music teacher from 1st to 4th grade, she was a big girl and she would always eat in front of us. It was kind of strange. She was heavy set, but she'd always eat like grapes and things. But, you know, she ended up, I don't know if she retired or moved to a different school district or whatever, but we ended up changing teachers for, you know, music class. And this new one, and you know, at the time I was very young, 5th or 6th grade, she had crazy, just a ridiculously like Diet Coke layer. Like the stash was crazy. We would go around the music classroom looking for all the Diet Coke that she had. She would hide it in like instruments and stuff, and you'd bang on an instrument and Diet Coke would go flying everywhere. And I didn't really put it together at the time, but obviously now as you're older, you understand, you know, people get really addicted to like Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, because technically it is 0 calories, right? You know, there's no, you know, you can drink an infinite amount of it and not gain weight. Now, it is bad for you, but it was just one of those things where I think she was just obsessed with like Diet Coke. And I mean, we would like look under instruments and stuff. And I remember looking under a shelf and there was just like 3 liters lined up to the brim, ready to go, locked and loaded. It was just kind of a funny, like wild goose chase for it. But that's just another little funny story there about a teacher. And then we had some interesting substitute teachers as well. We had this wacko dude. He was a big boy. I wouldn't call him fat. His name, I think, was Code Zero or something, or Sub-Zero was his name, because substitute teacher, Sub-Zero. But he was a big boy. He had facial hair and a ponytail. Folks, facial hair and a ponytail, it just doesn't work, I'm sorry. But he was kind of a weird dude. He started dancing in the middle of class one time. You know, you'll sometimes get those weird subs. And then we had another situation when I was in middle school in 7th grade to where all of the teachers, this was like early spring, so it was towards the end of the year, all of the teachers go on strike, except for one teacher. One teacher didn't, but they basically all went on strike, and it was an absolute shit show. I remember what I did is, right when they went on strike, I took 4 straight days off. I didn't go in because there was really no point. And then I started going in every other day. So I would like go in on Friday. I'd take Monday off. I'd go in on Tuesday. I'd take Wednesday off. I don't know why I did it. Either way, it just didn't matter. But I do vividly remember playing Call of Duty Black Ops 1 Zombies pretty much every day. It was just something fun to do. I mean, I was in 7th grade. You're supposed to be going to school. But I remember after the first 4 days, so the strike happens on the weekend or whatever, because I don't know, some with their contracts. And then that Monday, I didn't go in. The Tuesday, I didn't go in. The Wednesday, I didn't go in. The Thursday, I didn't go in. I go in Friday, and oh my God, it is just crazy. No one knew what to do. Like with the teachers gone, there was just complete pandemonium. Nobody could point me I didn't know where to go. I went into this one classroom and I'm like, obviously I've missed 4 days. Do I have any homework or something? They don't even assign you homework. You know what it probably reminds me of? Although I never was in school during COVID, I was already out of it, but it's probably very similar to how COVID was. We just got lucky because we didn't have to wear any masks or anything. We could just do whatever we wanted because of the teacher strike, but they ended up throwing out all of those grades. I remember being in math class and we had this substitute Indian teacher. She's like, open to page 46, and we're like, what are you talking about, honey? Like, you're just saying random things at this point. It's sad. And we ended up doing like a rap battle in math class or something. It's just really strange. But yeah, that strike, it was just a complete blessing, especially for you're in 7th or 8th grade, you don't have to do shit. Most of the kids had to go. I mean, my parents just said, it's useless, whatever. So I was able to take every other day off. It doesn't add up. What's the point of going every other day? But that's just what I did. And I would just play on my Xbox 360. It was a nice vibe, I remember watching Well, 21 Jump Street. So we had AT&T Uverse, you know, when cable was a thing. AT&T Uverse was the GOAT, man. It was just the fastest, the best. We had like 4 or 5 boxes, and they would have like free movies. And I remember watching 21 Jump Street over and over again during that, because it was probably only like 2 years old at that time, because this was back a while ago when I was in, 7th grade. But that was just kind of a funny memory there. But yeah, and then when it comes to like elementary school, my favorite teacher of all time was Mrs. Hunter. Yeah, Mrs. So I had this teacher, very strange situation, but I got very lucky. I had a teacher in 3rd grade. Her name was Mrs. Hunter. Had another teacher in 4th grade, obviously, but then I think she moved to 5th grade or something, and I had her again. So in 5th grade, I had a teacher that I had already had. So it's just like you're on easy mode at that point. I mean, how easy is my life? I already know the teacher. I have a good relationship with her, and I get her again, and at that point I had a really good friend group and everything, and that was just that was a really good time. It's unfortunate, you peak in elementary school, maybe middle school, but certainly high school was terrible for me. Just in general, my grades, I think everyone does well in elementary school. I guess I shouldn't say that, but whatever. They don't even track it really. I mean, they do track it, but let's just say I got A's and B's mainly, pretty much all in elementary school. Middle school, pretty much all A's and B's, but I'd say mainly B's. High school, really bad. Yeah. I mean, I never failed the class, because you got to be fucking stupid to fail in high school. I mean, they will just pass you no matter what. Like I was talking about in my high school video, I mean, I didn't know what the fuck was going on in chemistry. They just gave me exempt. They said, we just don't want to deal with you. Just leave. I didn't even show up to the classes because I didn't want to take the test because I didn't know the answers. And they ended up exempting me. And then Spanish was the other one that was just miserable. Oh my God. I think the biggest problem with Spanish was the teachers that I had, because they had that teaching style where they would call on you if you didn't have your hand raised. Por favor. Adios. Please stop calling on me. Muy bien. Please. I don't know the answer. If I knew the answer, I would raise my hand. If I knew that, I just wanted to say that. You of course you don't say that as a student, but it's like, Jesus, man. I think that was my main problem when it came to Spanish. But yeah, those are just some more memories. That the teacher that got triggered. I mean, it was literally the worst time. I remember Trump getting elected the next morning. I probably got like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, because everyone stays up in America for those things. And that was just such a crazy moment. Trump winning over Hillary. You guys remember the Huffington Post thing? Hillary, they tweeted out she had a 98% chance, 98.1% chance. And honestly, it felt like she did. I mean, obviously the polls are not always right, and we realize that, but I mean, it seemed like she was definitely going to win. And I remember being in the bathroom and just so tired after Trump won, but it was just such a funny thing. And then this lady just gets into a raging debate with a big fella in our class for like 40 straight minutes. No one else is saying a word. And then she's like trying to confiscate, look to see if anyone recorded it. Because, I mean, that is a self-aware thing to do if you're a teacher. You want to see if anyone is recording you during a terrible moment like that. I mean, honestly, if somebody was recording that, I really don't know what would have happened. Imagine like they posted a Snapchat or something. It would have been really ugly. But it's just kind of like a funny little quick story I wanted to share. Either way, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure Either way, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.